Hello and Assalamualaikum to panels. My name is Mohamad Zakhwan bin Abdul Wahid and my supervisor is IR Dr. Norashikil M. Tamrin. And today I am going to present my final year project entitled Development of IoT Dashboard using PHP and MySQL for Sustainable Water Quality Monitoring System. For introduction, in Internet of Things or IoT, data is essential, and sensors are an essential factor in ensuring data accuracy and credibility. This crucial layer consists of physical microappliances which are responsible for mechanism control or data collection embedded in an IoT device. Data dashboards play a significant role in online monitoring, and it typically includes several visualizations such as graphs. For problem statements, with the alarming number of COVID-19 cases globally, the on-site monitoring system is ineffective as more countries are wholly or partially locked down to restrict the movement of their civilians in containing the virus. In addition, the water bodies such as lakes need to be periodically monitored to avoid unpleasant pollution or water anomalies that can harm the nearby communities and the surrounding environment. The objective of this project are to develop an IoT dashboard platform using the HTTP and MySQL integration. The second one is to display the water parameters such as temperature, turbidity, pH value, dissolved oxygen, and rain status in a form of graph and gauge. For methodology, this is the storyboard of IoT dashboard. As you can see here, there are 7 pages inside the IoT dashboard. For the first page is dashboard page, which has temperature gauge, pH value gauge, turbidity gauge, dissolved oxygen gauge, rain meter status, temperature graph, pH value graph, turbidity graph, dissolved oxygen graph, and rain status graph. Okay, for the second page, there is import table page, which has choose file button to choose the Excel file for the input, and then submit button to import the Excel file to database. And after clicking the import button or submit button, it will display table at the down of the page. Okay, for the third page, there is temperature page, which has temperature gauge and temperature graph. Okay, the fourth one, pH value page, which has pH value gauge, pH value graph. Okay, the fifth page, turbidity page, which has turbidity gauge, turbidity graph. Okay, the sixth one is dissolved oxygen page, which has dissolved oxygen gauge and dissolved oxygen graph. Okay, for the last page is location page. It will display Google Map of the lake related. Okay, this is the block diagram for this system. Okay, for the input part, as you can see here is the preloaded water parameter data, which is in the form of Excel file. So the Excel file needs to be transported to database by using PHP language. So the database used is MySQL database, which user can see the interface on php-myadmin. So structured query language or SQL is used to interact database and dashboard. Okay, for the IoT dashboard part, so the GUI involved are gauge, graph, and meter, bar meter. Okay, the development of this GUI is by using JavaScript to call Google Gauge and Google Graph, and HTML and CSS to display the gauge and the graph on the IoT dashboard. For the flowchart, the first one, it needs to connect to the database. Okay, after that, it will go to the import menu, import table menu. Then it will run PHP file for import. Then data is sent to the database. After that, it will display table at the import page. Okay, after that, for the dashboard menu, it will run PHP files for 4 gauge, 5 graphs, and 1 bar meter, and display the GUI on dashboard page. Okay, for the menu temperature, it will run PHP files for temperature gauge and temperature graph, and display the GUI on temperature page. Next, for the page value menu, it will run PHP files for page value gauge and page value graph, and display the GUI on page value page. Okay, for the turbidity menu, it will run PHP files for turbidity gauge and turbidity graph, and display the GUI on turbidity page. Okay, for the last one, dissolve oxygen menu, it will run PHP files for dissolve oxygen gauge and dissolve oxygen graph. It will display the GUI on dissolve oxygen page. So, and okay, for the result, okay, this is the PHP MyAdmin display for the water parameter data. Okay, this is the result for the IoT dashboard part. Okay, as you can see here, the left figure is the upper view of dashboard page, and the right figure is the lower view of dashboard page. Okay, for the 4 gauge parameters and rain status meter, as you can see, it is the latest data for the water parameters on 23rd February 2020, time 8:19 AM. Okay, for the line graph part, for the water parameters and rain status line graph, it is from 19 February 2020 to 23rd February 2020. Okay, to make this web page look like a dashboard, so the usage of top navigation, side navigation, and the footer is used by using the Bootstrap template. For the left one is the import table page. As you can see here, there is choose file button for the user to enter the Excel file, and after that, import button to import the Excel file to the MySQL database. And after clicking the import button, the table below will display the data to show the user that the data already sent to the database without checking the PHP MyAdmin. Okay, for the figure 8, for the temperature page, it will display the temperature page and temperature graph. Okay, for the figure 9 is the page value page that will display only page value parameters, which is the pH value gauge and page value graph. And figure 10, for the turbidity page, it will display turbidity parameters, which is turbidity gauge and turbidity graph. For figure 11, it will display only dissolved oxygen parameters, the gauge and the graph. Okay, for the figures 12, it is a location page. It will display the Google Map of the lake and address, which is Taman Tasik 7/1F, Shah Alam. In conclusion, an IoT dashboard has been completed by using PHP web app development. Based on the implementation, we can see that the development of GUI such as gauge meter, line graph, bar meter, and table are the important elements to develop a dashboard. Therefore, we can add the usage of LoRa communication system to transmit data from one location to another. Next, we can add energy monitoring for additional parameter to see the battery status of the battery supply for online monitoring. Thank you for listening.